Here we go. Hi, A. How are you? Thank you for joining me. All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I know we're going on Blue Standard Time, but I'm here. All right. Tonight, we are going to be talking about where do medical coders get their workload from, and tabbing. Ever a popular topic, tabbing. All right. Hi, Jamie. Thank you for all the blue hearts. Hey, oh, thank you so much. Oh my God, you and the M&M mug, so cute. I know, right? Oh my gosh, and the blue with it, totally Michigan colors. Oh, I'm so happy. I didn't think about that till just now. All right. Thank you for all the blue hearts, Maximus. Hi, Nilda. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the blue hearts. All right, if you're just joining me, tonight we are talking about workload. Where do medical coders get their workload from? And also tabbing of the books. Always the ever hot button topic of tabbing the books. And I will tell y'all why I do not recommend tabbing your books. Now, this is just what I recommend, me being the veteran coder. Oh, thank you so much, Nilda. She says, love your show, love to work in this field. Aw, and thank you for all the blue hearts. I try to make sure that I give you guys topics that you're looking for. I've been asked about this today with the tabbing of the books and with like, where do you get your workload? A says, I know you don't like tabs. No, I don't. No, I don't personally. But there's a reason for it. There's a method to my madness. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Today we are talking about workload. Where does it come from? How do we know what workload we have to work in when we are working as medical coders? And also about tabbing of the books. All right, so let us begin. All right. Workload. Where does it come from? So it really is going to start with where are you working? Because for some hospitals, they have a group of coders, and these coders are not assigned a particular clinic. They are basically, given a queue to work in. So it's basically a queue is like a list of all the patients that have come in and they've had encounters and things like that. So those folks are needing to have their charts coded. So people just go through and basically take a chart and they start working it in their electronic medical record that they're working in, right? Whether it is Cerner or Epic or any of those, and they will start to code those. And then as they get touched, usually the electronic record system that you're working in will say that it is like in status, or that it is completed, or it is like transmitted complete. It'll say something like that. For me, in my facility, the workload is distributed by clinic. So I am the primary coder for orthopedics and podiatry. That means that those clinics are mine. I code for all of the providers, all of the encounters, everything that comes into those clinics in the clinic setting, I will code. There, we have another coder that does all of the surgeries, because we don't have as much surgeries to sustain like a couple of coders. So only one person does it. And then we have a couple of coders who do all of the encounters for the emergency room. And we have a group of 3 women who does the encounters for OBGYN, right? Because there's a lot of babies. So there's just different things for those things. And then we have the pediatric clinic. We have all the other clinics, of the family practice, basically those clinics. And then every single specialty. So some coders will have multiple specialties. I happen to have orthopedics and podiatry, like I said, but other people have like a variety. Some will have the respiratory clinic, and they will also have the neurology clinic. So it really all depends on where they're assigned. But that is how we get our workload. And again, it is based in our clinic. And if you ever run out of work, which never happens to any of us, then you can ask the supervisor for just a different assignment or something else to do, or can you help somebody else out? There's always somebody who needs help, whatever. There's always going to be somebody that needs help. So it's never not anything to do. But as you're touching these records, it will show that you're in there. And it's a shared queue, yes, but for all the ones that say orthopedics, people know not to touch those belong to Bleu. And so anything that's not orthopedics or podiatry, I don't worry about it. Those are all mine. That's just what I do. And so that's how we work ours. And in the instances where the patient has been seen in more than one clinic, and maybe somebody's in that record right then and there, it'll let you know there's somebody in this record. You cannot go in there while somebody else is in there. So as you're going in there, it's keeping that electronic tabs on who is where. And so everything that you touch, and this is why they tell you, do not touch anything from anybody that you know. And when you're coding these things, you're not going to be looking for your friend. You're not going to be looking for yourself. You cannot even open your own record, okay? Because it is a HIPAA violation. You have to go through the proper channels just like everybody else. Well, Bleu, that's my medical record. It doesn't matter. You're not working in that capacity as a patient when you are a medical coder, okay? So it's for everybody's safety. You never know if somebody steals your card, right? Your card to get into your system. That could be a violation as well. So that's the thing that you always have to kind of watch for. I have a card that I insert into my computer, and it says this is Bleu. I authenticate it, and then I go about my business. I go in and I pull up the record system. So we have a separate record system, and we have a record system that keeps track of what the encounters are. And then it also houses the encoder, right? Encoder, if you don't know, is basically an electronic code book. Now, if you've never been encoding before, I strongly recommend that you still stay with your books because you need to have your speed. Encoders come with time, and encoders also are there when you are working to make things more efficient. But I will say this, even when you are a veteran coder, do not get complacent with those encoders. I did. And I lost my speed for many years, and I suffered because of it. So when I became a student again, and by student, I mean having to study for my CCS-P and my CCS. So I have my speed back now, but you never want to lose your speed, whatever you do. So you still want to make sure that you're staying up, like being able to find codes in the book quickly, all right? That's the thing when you are doing those types of things. But that is how I get my workload. And so all of the encounters, once the provider finishes their note, they will go into this magical system that will pop up the next day. It will populate overnight. So it needs that time to regenerate overnight, and then I will see it in the morning. And so as I'm working through the queue, it'll tell whoever's looking at it, transmitted complete when I have already touched it and submitted it. And then it will stay there until overnight when the system updates itself, and then it will get taken out of the queue, and then I'll see the refreshed new list, and it'll tell me what encounters came in from the night before. It will also let me know if it's been updated. If the provider was queried and they fixed it, it'll show as updated and not complete, but just updated. So I can go in and say, okay, and close it out and do whatever I need to do to it. So that's how we work ours. And when I worked for a level 1 trauma hospital at home, it was a little different. It wasn't quite like that, where I had a queue where I could see what I had coming in. But it did have where anybody could go in and grab a record. And that is both good and bad. Good and bad in that the fact that people can skip records. And now some people got caught skipping records, and other people just learned the system. And so that is not a good thing when you have a system like that, because people tend to skip things when they get lazy and they don't want to work these things. And working for something like a level 1 trauma hospital, you see plenty of accidents, and these are not your average bear accidents. These are like pretty gnarly things, right? And we've seen hunting accidents, we've seen car crashes and everything else. Anything you can imagine, we've seen it. And so when people just don't want to work, they will skip. And see, skipping is not fair. If you've ever done it as a coder, you know you're wrong for that, because you wouldn't want it done to you. And the more that you run from things, right, the more it's always going to scare you, have the ability to scare you. Now, I had to get in the face of Mo's procedures, because for the longest time I hated them. I hated them, never wanted to do them, because it confused me, until I finally took the time to sit down and look at the book. And I'm like, now I get it. I ran from this the whole time. Now I get Mo's. Mo's I get. So I'm very happy about that. But it was that I had to have a reckoning with myself. We had to have our own come to Jesus meeting and be like, okay, I'm going to figure this stuff out, you know? And so by looking at the answers and then referring back to the book, rereading the book, that was how I was able to learn how to figure out Mo's. But now that I've done that, you know, I got to get back into cardio again so I can get that stuff figured out, because I had it, right, when you're starting to do heart caths and everything like that, but then you get away from it. And I'm always so happy to get away from cardio because I like my bone work, you know what I'm saying? So I like, you know, open reduction, internal fixation. I love those procedures. I need to get back with cardio though. But that all aside, that is how we get our workload. And again, when I worked at the level 1 trauma hospital, what I did though was, as soon as we completed the record, it left that queue, so we couldn't see it anymore. And so it was good and it was bad, because you didn't know what you did unless you were keeping up with it. And I always made sure that I kept up with what I was doing, because I always had to make sure that I was meeting production standards. And that was the one thing that I did not want to not meet, was because when you work for these level 1 trauma hospitals, it can take a hot minute to work on something. And then by the time you know it, you've gotten 15 done in 4 hours, and they're like, okay, what the heck, Blue? But in my own defense, it was because I was getting all of the junk that was left. And then when my boss saw, Trish, wonderful woman, when she saw what I was getting, and I was like, Trish, like, this is like all like, and she goes, you had this back to back? And then she goes, what was the timestamp on that? So I would give her the timestamp. She goes, this should have been done during the day. And I said, she goes, oh no, it's not your fault, Blue. She goes, oh no, we're gonna fix this. So she did work with me on the time, on my time for my production. So that way it wasn't like I wasn't doing anything. I was clearly working because you saw the complexity of the charts that I was doing, but that doesn't always happen. But in my case, it did happen because there was girls that were skipping those charts. So again, you never want to do that. And you have to face your fears head on when it comes to these things. Even if you have to find somebody to say, hey, can you stop for a second and explain this to me? Because I don't get it. And sometimes that's what you have to do. And you can't be scared when you do that. So, but as long as you're doing your part and you're not just trying to sit there and say, can you explain this to me for like the 6th time because I didn't write notes down, then you may be taking advantage of the person who's helping you. So you always want to make sure that you're doing your part, right? Let's see. A says, I want to do the ED so bad. You're going to see everything in the emergency department for sure. Heart attacks, strokes, car accidents, mom and baby. I mean, anything and everything, even common colds, lacerations, you're going to see everything. Hi, Ellie. Thank you for the blue hearts. Hi, CB. Sandra. Hi, Blue. This is so timely for me. I'm taking a short EMR course right now. Oh, good. Vincent, I had an ORIF for my trimalleolar fracture. Oh, my goodness. I know that was an interesting one. A says, we had a poster in the ED that I work in, and it has some random accident codes on it, like being sucked into a jet engine, subsequent encounter. I mean, that happens. You know, you get on the airfield, right? And you see all these kind of mechanics that they have these, and especially with these schools, right? These schools that they learn how to work on these jets and things like that, even on the airplanes too. You will see accidents like that come in because they're doing something, or they were standing in a place that they weren't supposed to. That's why they have all those safety things out there. I mean, there's an external cause code because it happened a sufficient number of times in order for it to get its own code. So that's the thing that you have to think about when you see these codes. I mean, obviously we see that there are codes that get created, obviously because of the pandemic we saw that. And even with vape, right? Everybody saw that, the vape injuries. So that's another code that got added. It's the things that happen. All of these things are being looked at in this data. And so that's why selecting the correct codes is always an important thing, But yes, those things actually do happen. And I'm using my mug. All right. So the other thing, tabs. Okay, I'm gonna offend somebody. I know I am, because I can feel it now. But hear me out. The reason that I do not recommend tabs is if you are tabbing your books, this says to me as a veteran coder, number one, that you are not using your books enough to be familiar enough with the sections. Well, no, Blue, I need them so that I can go through it faster. If you've been practicing with your book, you don't need those tabs, because the tabs are actually going to get in your way and it's going to make you tear the pages on your book. And I've seen plenty of people who have their book all tabbed real pretty, and then you see it in a couple of weeks and it's all ratted and torn up and all bent pages. It doesn't need to look like that, folks. It does not need to look like that. I will tell you, I used this book twice this year. Twice. You see it? It still looks good. You still look good. But you don't need to tab your books, folks. What you need to do is get familiar and open up your books. If you are about to take your certification exam, if you're with a HEMA is very strict with the tabs. The tabs have had to have come with the book. You cannot make your own tabs. You cannot, staple anything on there. There can be no loose pages in the inside. It has to have come with the book. The only one that I have seen that it comes with tabs is the CPT Professional Edition by the AMA, the one that we're supposed to use when we go to take our exams. Now, with that book, yes, it has its own set of tabs, nice little stickers in the front, and then you can tab it yourself. I've done the demonstration video on that because everyone asked me to do it. But when I went to go take my exam, what did I do with those tabs? Took them right off, because to me, it gets right in my way. And so when you are in your exam, you should be so familiar with your books that you should be able to flip right to those sections and know where to go. If you don't know where to go, if you're not that familiar with the book, then you need to take the time to sit down and actually open the book and look at it. And I'm telling you all this for your own good. You can take it whatever way that you like to. But what I'm telling you is this: the stronger you are with knowing where these codes are at, as far as like, okay, I know this section, I'm looking at musculoskeletal, the M codes, the Q codes is those congenital codes, and the S codes are going to be the injury codes. If you know that, that's going to help you get through that book a lot faster. The same thing with the CPT book. If you know the ranges, the 10,000 series, that's going to be your integumentary system, and so on and so forth. That's what is going to help you. Not sitting there trying to use all that time to tab your books and make it all with your notes and everything. Guys, again, with the notes, there's not going to be any time to read any of your notes. So the cleaner that you keep these books, the better off you'll be. You don't want to be writing up all in your books. And people have asked me, how do you transfer over your notes? How do you write anything in it? I don't. Personally, I do not, because for me, I've always respected books, and I've always had them where, okay, they're going to be as clean as possible. You can write like little things, like little day-to-day coding stuff that you need to know, to maybe kind of jog your memory. You can put those in there, absolutely. But a HEMA is very specific about that you cannot have excessive writing, okay? Because it looks like you're trying to cheat. And when you go to these Pearson View Centers to test for a HEMA, they are going to be inspecting your book before somebody comes on here and tells me, oh no, they didn't do that. Okay, I can't respond for all the Pearson View places. But if they are doing the protocol properly, like they are supposed to inspect your book. They're supposed to shake it out and see that there's nothing in it. All right. You don't want to get caught up in seeing you with a bunch of tabs that are not supposed to be on there, and a bunch of notes and writing and stuff like that will make them think that you are trying to cheat on this exam. So I'm trying to save y'all a bunch of heartache. Get familiar with the book so that you don't have to worry about the tabs. I don't have to worry about tabs, and I have not taken a test in years. Since 2008 was the last time I took a medical coding certification exam test. I took my CCS-P at the end of March this year, and I took my CCS at the beginning of November. So, and I've still been able to manage to keep my books clean and be able to flip through and everything. So, I mean, like I said, I use the 2021 as soon as I got it this year, and I've used it for my exam as well. So that's the thing. You have to get familiar with the book so that you don't have to worry about those tabs. People get so hung up on the wrong things. Students, do not get hung up on the wrong things like writing up in your books and tabbing your books. I'm telling you, as somebody that's experienced, don't tab your books. Get familiar that you don't need them, that you'll feel confident without those tabs. Because there's people that will demonstrate and tell you, oh yeah, it'll make you go faster. What's going to make you go faster is your familiarity with the book. If you don't know where you're going in this book, you're going to get lost. If you don't know what the appendixes are, again, you're not helping yourself, because the appendixes got a lot of really good information in it. Like anything, all the other extra stuff, like the anatomy and, flipping open that back cover in the CPT book, you can see all of those abbreviations. Thank you to Christina who pointed that out to me. But yes, on the inside cover of the CPT book, you have all of your modifiers, right? On the inside of those, in the inside of that cover. So again, it's designed to help you. The book already has the answers. It does not need you to add tabs to it. That's going to be my advice. But again, if you're taking a test with a HEMA and you absolutely have to have tabs, the CPT manual is pretty much the only one you're going to be able to tab, because it's the only one that comes with its own tabs already. So you can check the student guide, the student testing guide, to be able to verify that. I actually had an instructor, a very upset instructor, who said, how dare you tell these people that they can't have that? Well, if you, I've been telling my students for years, if you had looked, sir, in the student hand guide, you'd be able to see that it specifically says it, and it clearly is read out right there that it has to have come with the book, and the tabs cannot be handmade. So again, I don't want to set anybody up for failure. So check the double check the student hand guide if you're not sure of what I'm saying. But what I'm telling you is this: it's going to be a lot easier if these books are clean as possible. Because if you have all of this writing on it too, and you're trying to get through there, and you're already nervous, and you're not concentrating, and something's going to catch your eye, and you're going to get distracted. All that studying, guys. That's why you have to study. That's why you take the time to study. Because at the end, it's showtime. It's showtime, and you're going to be able to show what you know. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is have clean books. So I will leave that alone, because I know people have heard it, but I'm just saying. But yes, there's a lot of really interesting external cause codes. Take the time to check out the external cause code section. It is worth it. And I hope that you all are enjoying the modifier series that I've been having out. So today was a preventative medicine one modifier. So that was pretty good. I think tomorrow I'm going to do modifier 52 for reduced services. So that will be tomorrow's episode, airing at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do have them on a playlist. So if you've missed any of them, I hope you'll go back and check them out. If you're a student, it's going to help you. If you're a biller, it's going to help you too. If you're a medical coder, it will really help you, because knowing the appropriate modifiers to apply always helps. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions before I wrap this one up? Because I have a tutoring session in 15 minutes. So I will talk as long as I can if you'll have questions. But I got to go in 15 minutes. So I think I sufficiently answered the question on where I got my work from, and the other one with the tabs. So, but if you've been studying, you know, it's better to leave the books clean. Has anybody been working on the little pink book for the practice questions? Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad that you liked it. But I hope y'all are still working on that little pink book. If y'all are wanting to do another review of that pink book again, let me know. I'll probably do like a voting thing just to see, because I want to make sure people have had time to read it and study it too. Because if you have a question on it, that way we can discuss it. I think the other show was okay the first time that it came out, because it was new and everybody said, oh, but I asked a lot of questions. I answered my own questions too. So I would hope next time that there's a lot more questions as well, so from the audience. But I think giving y'all more time to kind of review the book would be good too. So Nilda says, I'm interested in attending school for medical coding. What school do you recommend? I haven't been to like these colleges, so I don't have one that I can recommend. But what I can say is this, that if they are preparing you for a HEMA or AAPC, that is the way to go. If they are preparing you for another certification that is not a HEMA or AAPC, run, because that is not training you for what employers are looking for. And even if it is free and included, and oh yeah, you can get this, and I encourage you to look in your area to see if they are asking in your area for that specific certification or that specific certificate. So if they're not, again, employers are really looking for a HEMA and AAPC credentials. Who you get certified through is important, because again, you don't want to have to invest money in something that's not going to be able to help you get a job, right? You want to be able to get a job. So with that in mind, you want to get the best, and a HEMA or AAPC is what you want when you are looking for credentials that employers are looking for. All right, don't waste your time with other things that no one is looking for. That's my advice. My strong advice to people is don't waste your time on other things. You got plenty to concentrate on. Don't worry about other certifications. Okay. Free is not always good. I will say that. Nilda says, oh, it would be my first time attending. I haven't yet enrolled. Okay. So make sure that when you are looking at a program, if you are going for a certification program, because there's a difference, certification versus the college degree. I don't recommend college degrees for people who have never done it before, because if you've never done anything in coding or health information at all, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you don't know what you're getting into just yet. And to me, it's not worth it to invest all this money in something that you have no idea what it's about. So I always recommend to start off with a certification, so that way it's less money, number one. In some instances, because some of these schools, they charge the cost of a car. But if you're looking for something reasonable, either association, AHIMA or AAPC, both have their online medical coding certification programs. So you can go through either association and be able to take the course with them, and they can prepare you, and then you can take your certification, whichever one that you want to. But if you're going to one of these schools, make sure that you've checked them out with the Better Business Bureau. Ask if you can talk to the instructor. Ask the instructor, when was the last time that you coded in the real world? If they tell you that they coded in the real world 10 years ago, try looking for another place, because 10 years ago versus now is completely different. 10 years ago, we were in ICD 9 times. So that's the thing, that you want to make sure that you want somebody who's had recent experience in the real world with ICD-10. And so that, and also ask them, how hands-on are you? If I need help, if I need something further explained, am I going to be able to ask you? Try and find other students who've graduated from that program. Get online and see if you can find like feedback anywhere to see what they have to say. But don't just go giving your money willy-nilly and thinking that, oh yeah, it's going to be good enough. You know, I recommend, if I'm going to recommend anything, is going straight to the schools, straight to the associations themselves, AHIMA or AAPC. Either one of their online programs is fine. If you're going to do the independent study route, I do have the independent study template where it has all the books that you need. I probably need to go in there and update those books again. But I mean, it is completely possible to study on your own and to be able to do this on your own, but you have to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined and you need that structure and student environment, then maybe going to a school would be better for you. But keep in mind, if they're saying it's a fast-paced program, oh, you'll be done in 6 months and then you'll be on your way to a brand new career. Nope. It needs to be 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. Blue, I'm getting through my program in 2 months. Okay, good for you. But it doesn't mean that you understand what's happening. You have to give yourself time to understand what's happening. It's not a race, guys. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint. When you're in school, do not treat it like it is a race, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the one hurting, because it's not going to be anybody else that's going to be taking those assessment tests when you get out into the real world with your certification and you're trying to find a job. And you get out there and you're trying to look for a job, but you don't have the skill because you were only taught how to pass a certification exam. So give yourself time to understand it and to get it. You don't have to like, oh my gosh, this makes sense, all the sense in the world, but you do have to be able to grasp it. If you can grasp it, then you can learn as you're going. But if you have no clue as to what you're doing, then you need to kind of slow down and take the time to understand it. Reach out and find a mentor, go to the association meetings, try to find somebody to hook up with as far as like with a mentorship thing going. But that probably wasn't the best way. But you guys know what I mean, right? So that's the thing. When it comes to those types of things, you can find a tutor. There's a ton of tutors on LinkedIn. I'm a tutor myself, and my rates are always in the description box below. So that is another alternative that you can do, because I'm not trying to sell, but I am trying to be helpful. So there are those alternatives. You don't have to feel like you're alone. Okay. Because we're all trying to learn at the end of the day. Even me, I'm still learning. 13 years in, I'm still learning. So we have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. So that's a tall order, but we can do it. But you just have to put your mind to it. And even if you have a family, and even if you have small children, people who have families and small children have done it plenty of times. And majority of medical coders are mothers, so they get it. They all understand. Hi, Flora. Thank you for the blue heart. Alice says, I am doing college now for medical billing and reimbursement and getting my associates and also getting certified in AAPC. And I will be graduating in December of next year. Is that good? Your associates, so you're going to be able to sit for your RHIT? Or is it just the diploma program? You're welcome, Nilda. Hi, Elena. And I got about 5 minutes. So, Alice, let me know. But yeah, that is what I recommend. I know it's a lot, right? It's so much with these schools. Like, are you getting the right thing? Let's see, what do you have? Yes and no. It's not just a diploma. Okay. All right. So you're gonna be able to sit for your RHIT. That's what I understand, right? And okay, good. Well, I mean, if you're gonna be sitting for that and you can sit for the RHIT, then yes, you're on the right track. But keep in mind with the RHIT, they are typically your auditors, they are your educators, they are the supervisors. They are the worker bee, but they tend to be a little bit more elevated because of the degree status. But at the same time, just make sure that you are aware of that. Okay. They take a lot of stock into these degrees because they consider our degree holders as our leaders in the industry. So while you may not want to be a leader, this is how your employer or your future employer is going to look at you. Okay. So just be prepared. You don't necessarily have to fall into that role, but I'm just telling you that this is what they're going to expect when they see you. Alice says, yes, and I'm getting a lot of help through my school. That is wonderful. I love hearing that. I love to hear that because so many times you don't hear that. And it's very scary when you hear people being taken advantage of. I don't like for people to be taken advantage of. It makes me mad, which is probably another reason why I have my channel, because I don't want people to be taken advantage of. I love this field, and I don't like that a lot of people can be taken advantage of if they're not careful. And so that's why I try to share as much really good information as I can, because again, there's so much of it out there, right? But yes, I'm going to go ahead and have to wrap this up right now because I have a tutoring in 3 minutes. So I hope y'all will join me for tomorrow's show. I will be back for a live, and this live will be at normal time at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will not be late for tomorrow's show. And also, I hope that y'all will join me tomorrow at 6 p.m. For the premiere of Modifier 52. If you have not had a chance to check out the other videos, I hope that you will check out the playlist for the modifiers and give it a thumbs up, like this video too, so that YouTube can share it with the world. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And you're welcome, Yelena. And you're welcome, Alice. Thank you all again. So good night, everybody, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.